Hi, my name is Bruce Boston, and yes, this is my first video on the channel. Here we go. So my hope is that through these videos that I can start to jump into the conversations around politics, around economics, and join the public discourse. We have a belief that good politics comes out of good discourse, and good discourse comes out of the discourse tools that we have at the time. YouTube is one of those tools, and here I am. I encourage you, and one of my hopes is that if you have additional thoughts on any of the topics in any of the videos, that you go ahead and chime in the comments. I'll do my best to get back to you, or to add it to a future video, or to ignore it. No, I won't. And so the hope is that this isn't a one-way conversation, but this actually results in a discourse. All right. Where am I starting? I'm starting with a site that I created called AltPath.ai, AltPath.ai. And one of the core beliefs that I have is that if you ask yourself what you're going to be doing in 2 years, you're going to be doing AI-human alignment. And what does that mean? That means all automation, all the work in the world is automated. And what we're now doing is telling the AI, could you do more of this? Could you do less of this? Could you do it this way? And what happens if we do it that way? Could you tell me the downsides of that? And we're really doing, again, what I call human AI alignment. What do I believe? I believe that if you take the output, and we can measure human effort in wattage of a truck driver, you'll see that it takes about 100 watts an hour for that truck driver, it's an 18-wheeler, to drive that truck. And then you'll also see, if you check that they're going full speed and they've got a full load, that the amount of horsepower and energy being produced by that truck is enormous. And the vast majority of the work in that truck, in that goal of moving stuff from one place to another, is not the 100 watts from the human, right? It's all the horsepower from the 18-wheeler. And that's and if you take that ratio, oh my gosh, look at how much work is done mechanically versus the human, oh my gosh, the world's going to crumble. No, it doesn't. That 100 watts just becomes that much more valuable the more that 100 watts can start to direct a truck, right, in the right way to the right place at the right time, and coordinate with everything else that's happening. The same thing is going to happen with AI, that we're going to continue to be the 100 watts that we add, right, and more and more and more horsepower. We're going to go from 18-wheelers to 56-wheelers to just gigantic machines that an individual is going to have the ability to interact with. But the goal of the human is going to remain the same. 2 years, 20 years, 100 years from now, getting the AI to do more of what we want. Okay? And so where do you start that process? No, we don't have to start that process in 10 years. We can actually start that process today. And so that's what I'm trying to do, is see what those best practices might be for humans to start to take our new role as truck driver of the world, right? And AltPath kind of sets up that vision. I set it up as, there's got to be a starting point. There's got to be a foothold that we start with. Basically, it says a few things. One, everybody's different, right? Two, the AI doesn't know which of the somebodies you are. And so explicitly at the top of alignment is, by the way, here's who I am, right? Here's what my preferences are. Here's how I think my world ought to be. And here's how I would like the rest of the world to be. And unless you explicitly integrate that into your conversations with AI throughout the future, it doesn't know. It's just going to think that you're a random human being, and therefore you have random human being needs, and that you have random human being thoughts, and that you have random human being everything. But you're not. You're a very specific person. So AltPath.ai is a system that I started to contemplate to say, can we bridge that gap? Can we start to build a system that first and foremost helps the AI. Now, I'm going to use AI in making these videos, and the way I've decided to do that is by writing up a draft of work, right? Having it summarized by AI, then having it presented by AI, because AI stays on topic, and it does that. Is it more boring than a person? Yes. But that said, it's what it lacks in personality, it makes up in completeness, in succinctness, it embellishes some of the things that I didn't include, and I think it does a fairly good job of that. So what we're going to do next is we're actually going to listen to a summary of the site that you would find if you went to AltPath.ai, and it's going to lay out some of my philosophy. At the top, I have something I call Elegant Pragmatism, which means I'm philosophically a pragmatist. It's then going to kind of go into what some of the human needs are, and walk you through how I have set up an inventory of needs that you could go through in the future to kind of start to put the questions together that AI needs to understand the answers for it to customize its answers for your particular life. And then it's going to go into some future development that I wrote up. Does this ever happen? I don't know. Is this a good place to start a video? Why not? And yes, this is going to be a learning curve as we go along, but let's get started.
Deep dive. Today we're getting into something I think is really compelling. It's a framework for, well, approaching life's challenges, but also for designing a life that genuinely feels like yours. Mm-hmm. We're diving into Elegant Pragmatism and looking at how it connects to your personal well-being.
Yeah.
Stick around, because this should give you some really useful shortcuts to understanding this blend of practical problem solving and actually finding joy in the solutions.
Exactly. And our mission here really is to unpack how these principles, elegant pragmatism, and this AltPath approach can help you define what truly matters for your quality of life.
Okay.
We'll also touch on how some upcoming AI tools are aiming to guide that journey based on the sources we've looked at.
Right.
The main goal is to pull out the key insights, so you feel really informed but not like overwhelmed with data. Hopefully find some of those aha moments.
Love those aha moments. So let's start at the beginning then. Elegant pragmatism. There's this central mantra: solve problems first, beautify answers second, and guiding questions. Does it work? Does it delight?
Yeah.
That immediately sets up this kind of dual lens way of looking at things, doesn't it?
It really does. And what's interesting is how it sort of codifies something many of us do instinctively, right? We want things that work well and feel good to use.
Yeah, definitely.
So the first lens, the pragmatic lens, it's all about, does it work? Pure functionality. Is it solving the actual problem?
Okay, the practical stuff.
Exactly. And it breaks down to 5 criteria. First, problem fit. Does it actually fix a real pain point? Is it addressing something that genuinely needs solving for you or someone else?
Makes sense.
Then feasibility. Can people realistically afford it? Or build it?
Yeah.
Or learn how to use it? Pretty fundamental.
Right. Can it actually happen?
Then efficiency. Does it give you the maximum benefit for the time or the energy or the cost you put in, getting the most bang for your buck, basically?
Okay.
Fourth is resilience. Will it keep working even if resources get tight or things change unexpectedly? You want something robust.
Yeah, that's important. Things always change.
And finally, reproducibility. Could someone else, maybe a peer, copy your solution pretty easily? Like with just a weekend's worth of guidance, that shows it's practical and shareable.
So that's the does it work side. Very thorough. What about the other question? The delight part.
Right. So once you've got that solid foundation, you know it works, then you bring in the elegant lens. And this asks, does it delight? This is where the beauty, the joy, the refinement comes in.
Ah, okay. This sounds more subjective, maybe.
A little, but there are still criteria. First, simplicity. Is there anything extra? Anything superfluous? Can you sketch the core idea on just one page? That usually means it's clear and easy to grasp.
I like that test. 1 page.
Yeah. Then harmony. Do the parts feel right together? Proportionate, coherent, like they belong? Think good design, basically. Then surprise, does it have a little something extra? That small moment, oh, that's neat. An unexpected, delightful detail.
Like a little Easter egg in software, maybe.
Sort of, yeah. Or just a clever design touch. Then sensory pleasure. Does it invite touch? Is Is it nice to look at? Does it engage your senses positively?
Okay.
And finally, uplift. This one's interesting. Do people treat the object, or maybe even each other, with a bit more care because of it? Does it foster a more positive interaction?
Wow, that last one goes deep. It's not just about the thing itself, but its effect on people.
Exactly. It's about its positive ripple effect.
So it's really this interplay, isn't it? Thinking about, I don't know, my favorite coffee mug. Does it work? Yes, holds coffee, doesn't leak. Pragmatic box is ticked.
Right.
But does it delight? Well, yeah, the handle feels just right. It's a color I love. Maybe it was a gift. That's the elegant part, adding that extra layer.
That's a perfect example. It's moving beyond, it gets the job done, it gets the job done beautifully and makes me feel good while doing it. That integration is key.
Okay, I get the core philosophy now.
Yeah.
So how does this way of thinking apply to something as big and, well, personal as our own well-being? You mentioned these quality of life buckets.
Yeah, this is where it gets really practical for life design. These buckets aren't just random categories. The sources frame them as areas where you need to discover your essentials.
My essentials, okay.
There are 10 core buckets identified. Think of it like a checklist for what really makes up a good life, fundamentally.
Let's hear them.
Okay. First, physical and mental health. Basic stuff. Safe water, good sleep, getting medical care when you need it.
Crucial.
Then safety and environment. Feeling safe from hazards, crime, both personal and property, housing and neighborhood, a safe, decent home, access to maybe some green space.
Yeah, that matters.
Social connections, people you can count on actually enjoying time with friends and family.
Definitely.
Time autonomy, having free time for hobbies, some control over your work or study schedule, that feeling of freedom.
Oh, big one for many people.
Huge. Then income and security, being able to cover your regular bills and handle a sudden expense, say around €1,000, without it being a total crisis.
That specific number gives a good benchmark.
Yeah, makes it concrete. Then education and skills, access to learning, reliable internet, the devices you need today.
Lifelong learning.
Meaningful work, feeling like you contribute productively, that your work actually means something.
Okay.
Civic engagement, feeling like your voice matters in your community, trusting public institutions, more or less.
Right.
And finally, purpose and well-being, that overall sense that your life is worthwhile, leading to general life satisfaction.
Wow. Okay. That's a comprehensive list. It covers pretty much everything. But surely what's essential in each bucket varies wildly from person to person.
Absolutely. And that's exactly where the AltPath idea comes in strongly. The phrase uses, it's never one size fits all. Everyone is on an alt path, alternative path.
An alternative path, I like that.
Yeah. So what you need for, say, time autonomy might be totally different from what I need. Or the level of income security that feels right for you. Elegant pragmatism, applied here, means first figuring out and solving for your baseline essentials in these buckets. Get the does it work part sorted for your life fundamentals.
Okay, secure the basics first.
Exactly. Then you use the Elegant Lens to refine those solutions, to bring in the delight, the beauty, the joy, based on what you find elegant or delightful in your own life. It becomes totally personalized.
So it's a two-step process.
Yeah.
Secure your personal essentials, then elevate them with personal elegance.
You got it. That's the essence of applying it to well-being.
Okay, this is starting to paint a really interesting picture. We have the philosophy, the life buckets. How does this actually, happen for someone? How do you do this? You mentioned technology, AltPath.ai, these custom GPTs.
Right, so this is about the tools designed to help you on this journey. These custom GPTs, which are flagged for a potential launch in late 2025.
Still a way off, but the concept is there.
Exactly. They're described as adaptive AI assistants trained on elegant pragmatism principles to guide your unique journey. Think of them as AI guides, but specifically trained in this philosophy.
Okay, so what can they help you do?
Several things. One is find what motivates you. Using psychology principles like behavioral psychology alongside elegant pragmatism to help you figure out your core drivers.
Understand yourself better.
Precisely. Another is understand operant conditioning. Basically learning how your habits and behavioral patterns shape your choices and how you might, consciously use conditioning for positive changes.
Interesting. Like habit formation tools.
Sort of, but grounded in this specific framework. Then there's the quality of life assessment. This directly ties back to those 10 buckets we discussed. It would give you a personalized evaluation of where you stand.
Get a snapshot of your current well-being across those areas.
Yeah, with insights tailored to you. Then find my community. This aims to help you connect with people or groups that genuinely align with your values, your goals, your AltPath.
Finding your tribe, basically.
Kind of, yeah. And finally, ask a question. A way to get personalized advice on pretty much any life decision or challenge using this whole AltPath methodology.
So it's like having an AI coach steeped in this specific philosophy.
That seems to be the idea, a suite of tools to support that journey of self-discovery and optimization.
That's quite ambitious. So
Yeah.
If someone engages with these tools, what's the bigger picture? What's the envisioned journey beyond just using these individual GPTs?
Well, the sources lay out this Insider's Insights roadmap. It describes a journey moving from inner discovery to shared flourishing, and it's structured in 3 phases.
Okay, let's break that down. Phase 1.
Phase 1 is inward introspection. The tagline is, draft the perfect prompt, shape the perfect partnership.
Partnership with the AI.
Essentially, yes. The idea is the custom GPTs guide you through these bite-sized self-assessments, not overwhelming, just small steps.
Like what kind of assessments?
Things like figuring out your core motivations. They mention using Rice's 16 basic desires as one possible framework, doing that quality of life bucket check we talked about. Maybe mini assessments for personality traits like Big 5 or Myers-Briggs types. Even things like understanding your relationship needs, maybe using love language concepts.
Wow, okay. Comprehensive.
Yeah, and mapping out your current life across career, education, hobbies, diet, routines. They call it a life canvas.
So you're building a detailed picture of yourself.
Exactly. And the output of all this introspection is what they call a concise, evergreen user context file. Think of it as a dynamic, up-to-date digital profile of you designed to AI systems like large language models.
So phase 1 is building this detailed AI-readable profile of yourself. What's phase 2?
Phase 2 is self-propagation. The concept here is your mind everywhere.
Sounds a bit sci-fi.
Maybe a little. But it involves something called the MCP server. Think of it as a secure private bridge. Its job is to take your user context file from phase 1.
Right, the profile.
And also what they call a personalized payoff matrix, basically. What outcomes you value most. And securely inject that information into any AI tool or service you connect it to.
So the AI you're interacting with knows you.
Yeah.
Based on your profile.
That's the idea. But with lots of controls. Granular permissions for what gets shared, usage limits, automatic data wiping schedules, even a one-click forget-me-purge button.
So privacy is built in.
Seems to be a major focus. The analogy used is a roaming agent that lets AI speak your language securely. It makes your interactions with different AIs potentially much more personalized and effective because they have that context, but you control it.
Okay, that makes sense. Introspection builds the profile, propagation shares it securely. What's phase 3?
Phase 3 is community connection, moving from self-knowledge to shared experience.
Bringing other people in.
Exactly. This phase introduces opt-in layers. You choose to publish specific slices or parts of your context file, but only to trusted circles, friends, family, collaborators, whoever you define.
So you control who sees what aspects of your profile.
Precisely. And the benefit. It unlocks things like really deep fit matches for activities or projects. Imagine finding someone who perfectly complements your skills and goals for a shared venture.
Okay, it could be powerful.
Or curated introductions to potential collaborators or even friends who share your specific interests or values based on that deeper context. It could also enable things like collective goal dashboards, like who else in my trusted group is also training for a marathon right now or working on a similar skill. It facilitates connection around shared endeavors.
I see.
The core principle they state for this phase is privacy is parametric, connection is exponential, meaning you set the privacy parameters, and that controlled sharing allows for potentially much richer, more meaningful connections to grow.
So putting it all together,
Yeah.
it really does sound like a seamless journey. You start with deep self-reflection aided by AI.
Phase 1.
Then you create this secure, controllable way for that self-knowledge to inform your interactions with technology.
Phase 2, self-propagation.
And finally, you leverage that understanding, again with controls, to build richer connections with actual people, all guided by this AltPath Elegant Pragmatism approach.
That seems to be the vision laid out. A holistic path from inner understanding to external flourishing, supported by technology but centered on your personal definition of a good life.
It's a really thoughtful integration moving from the individual outward. Quite something to think about.
Yeah.
Well, that was certainly a deep dive into elegant pragmatism and how it connects to designing a life that works and delights. What really stands out is this idea that it's not just about efficiency, but about weaving your own unique sense of beauty and joy into the solutions you create for yourself.
Absolutely. It fundamentally encourages you to think differently, doesn't it? About your choices, your environment, your goals.
It does.
So, maybe a final thought for everyone listening. If we accept that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, how would you define delight in your own daily life? In the tools you use, the routines you have?
That's a great question.
And thinking back to those quality of life buckets, which essentials feel most critical for you right now? What would you prioritize first to start building your optimal alt path?
Yeah.
Hopefully this discussion gives you a new lens, maybe an empowering one, to look at your own challenges and aspirations moving forward.
Definitely gives us all something to mull over. Thanks for walking us through that.
My pleasure. It's fascinating stuff.
And there we go. So, overview of the site. What was the inspiration for the site? I was watching a YouTube video, and someone was talking about how much he really loved the memory that ChatGPT now has. That when he tells them something about himself, about their diet, about their routine, about their family, about their work, the memory within ChatGPT now takes that information and increases the value of the output. My first thought was, oh my gosh, we're going through the whole thing all again. What whole thing? Lock-in. Every time there's, bookmarks in a browser, now I have all my bookmarks in one browser. Wow, now it's going to be really, really hard to switch browsers. Contacts in your smartphone. Wow, it's going to be really, really hard to switch cell phones now that all my contacts are in this one, and it's a chore to move it to something else. And I thought it felt like maybe we'd be going down that same path of, wow, all of this memory of who I am and what I prefer and what's going on in my life is now in one of these tools, and there's dozens, if not hundreds of them. And the others don't know about me. Are we going to have that same sort of lock-in? Then you ask the question, what would prevent that? And someone else's video said, well, you can just ask it, like, what are all the things you remember about me? And then it'll create a context file about you. And then I thought, well, what if I could take that context file and move it someplace else? And then, of course, you ask yourself, well, instead of just random things being remembered about me through conversation, not that that's random, but what if I start to structure that context file around deeper needs, around deeper psychological attributes of myself, about deeper preferences, about deeper meaning that I am pursuing long term, and then you start to build that context file, and then where would that context file live? And then once you had that context file, wow, this thing really describes me well, and look at that, I can put it into any of 100 different AI models, and it really uplifts the value of that responses from that AI. How can I make that sharing easier? And then going back to almost kind of the original promise of many of the early websites, say something like Facebook, you're going to be able to have all your friends in the same place and connect with others on topics you care about. Well, what if you built a tool that actually enabled that vision? Because I don't think anybody's achieved that yet, right? We're still having trouble finding people who are engaged in activities that we might enjoy engaging in, and they might enjoy engaging with us. And so there you have it. You got to start somewhere. So that's the kernel. There's a lot in there. There's a lot to give feedback on. I will be making additional videos. They will have different topics. The core is going to be around AI, politics, economics. I believe in something that's coming, which I'll call goal-oriented economics instead of capital-oriented economics. And start to maybe color out what that might look like. And yes, how that transition might go. I also have lots of beliefs about evolution. I think that evolution probably is at the core of how the rest of the animal kingdom operates. And I don't think humans are above evolution. I think many of the activities and behaviors that we see in the animal kingdom are probably present in the human kingdoms. And I don't think that anyone has done a good job of going through the math of evolution and starting to think how the math of evolution starts to suggest it may be a different view that's uncommon in the world about how evolution works in the animal kingdom, and then maybe if we look at the math of humans, how that maybe suggests something else. And this is also something that you'll learn about me. I think the universal language is arithmetics, and I think an awful lot can be communicated about what's actually going on in the world through basic things as numbers, values, rates, trends, changes, which is just adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. And if you enjoy that sort of thing, please encourage me in the comments to do more in that. But this is certainly more than enough for you to make a comment. So we'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much.